Hello again, welcome back to the Excel VBA series. Now in this one what we're going to do is we're going to take the user forms a stage further, and we're going to look here at how we can activate the user form. But what we don't want is we don't necessarily want the users to see the data on this page here. So what we do want to do is we want to have another sheet and they just click on this button and then it shows them the user form. But as soon as it's filled in the data on the user form sheet, what it does is it hides that sheet again so that the user themselves don't know that the data is there. So what I'm going to do first of all is we're just going to record a macro which records us hiding the sheet, just so that you can see how it's done. So we'll start recording a macro, we'll just call it whatever it is as the default, make sure it's saved in this workbook, and right click, hide, and that's it. So we'll just stop recording. Now let's have a look at that macro, and that went under module 1 here, and all it is sheets, and then the name of that sheet, select, and then active window, selected sheets, visible, change the value to false, the value for visible. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, and we could have done it slightly differently, because what we could have done is rather than selecting it and then going down to the selected sheets, we could simply change it to sheets userform.visible equals false. And in fact, let's do it that way because it's a bit cleaner as code. And what we actually want to do is we're going to have it hidden to start with, and we're then going to take that line of code and we're going to make it true so that the sheet is visible so that we can actually see it working. So to start with, we're not going to have that line of code in there, because we're going to make it visible again, just so that we can see it working. But what we are going to do is once we've run the code, we're going to hide that sheet if it's not already hidden. So we're going to do it at the moment so it's not already hidden. What we want to do is have this button here, execute the code, and then hide that sheet straight away. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is actually write the code. So we're going to go here into the VBA, and we've got that there. What we want is it on the submit button. So on the submit button, what it's going to do is it's going to find the place in the sheet. Now actually, because we're running this from a different sheet, the first thing we need to do is record ourselves selecting a different sheet. So let's just do that first of all. Again, we're running a macro which records us selecting a different sheet, and stop recording. So let's now go and have a look at that code. So back here, select a certain sheet. That's the code we want to copy to start with. So let's now go into the user form, and right at the start of our command button we need to make sure that we have the right sheet selected. Okay, so we've gone into the user form and we're now putting the data into that user form so that works. Now if we just run this as it is, you can see how we can see the form in the background, and when we type the data in here, and let me just choose a yes there and submit. Now if I just minimize that down, you'll see that this sheet is still visible here, and that's actually not what we want. Now we could choose to change back to this sheet, but actually what we want to do is we want to hide this sheet at that point. So let me just show you what's necessary to hide the sheet. If I have that sheet hidden, when I actually run this code here, can you see how it's doing it on here? And it comes up with an error because I can't actually select a sheet if it's hidden. So I do need to make that sheet visible. Yeah. And what I also need to do is, if I go back into there, sheets visible, back into the user form, and up here let's paste that in. So we've made it visible, true. We're selecting the sheet, and what we can now do is let's just select both of those, copy them, and before we do the me.hide, let's paste those both in, but I actually want them in a different order. We want them in the opposite order. And this one is going to be controls. So this is telling it at the very end to change back to the sheet controls and to hide the one called user form. A couple of other things we might want to do. So up here, once we've gone into user form and select, we might want to say active sheet range Z1000 select, and all that will do is it will actually move where we are on the sheet, so the user can't actually see what's going on the sheet at the same time. And again, let's test this one to see it working. So it's too fast to notice what was going on, and it's hidden the sheet again. So unhid the sheet so we could work on it. There was no way we could have actually seen it happening, and it's then hidden the sheet again. And all that remains for me to do is actually to code in on this button here, opening the user form. Now that's slightly trickier, because what I first of all need to do is I need to create a module, or I need to create a macro in here which is opening the user form. So this is going to be sub open user form, and I'm going to call this user form, and it's user form 1, and just going to use show. That's all I need to do there. And now when I go back into that button there, right click, assign macro, and it's actually called open user form. Now when I just simply click on there, it opens the user form, and you'll notice how it doesn't clear the data, because at no point did I actually shut down the user form. I simply hid it, and now I'm showing it again. However, if I shut Excel down and reopen Excel, that will have cleared the data. So now if I just click submit, you saw it flashing up and putting the data in, but you haven't actually seen the form that it's gone onto. And if I manually unhide that one, you'll see that the data is going in to the right place as we go down. Let me just clear all of them. Go to controls. Now, even if the form is currently showing, that doesn't matter, because as soon as I run this, it will hide that when I click the submit button. So the form is now hidden, and if I now go back into that form there, oops, I unhide them all. You'll now see that the data has gone into the right place. Okay, that's all I want to show you there on those user forms. As I've said previously, if you have any questions, anything specific on VBA that you want me to help you out with, do just ask in the comments down below, and thank you for listening.